Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Danielle Sharman, and I'm a policy analyst with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture. I am coordinating the Cultivating Local workshop alongside my colleague, Joanne Fuller, who is the Projects and Training Coordinator here at OFA. A few housekeeping items. Please keep yourself on mute as this is a meeting-style workshop. We will ensure there are lots of opportunities for questions. This workshop will be recorded and will be available on OFA's Cultivating Local webpage. We also ask that you kindly keep your video off to keep our bandwidth low for our attendees with limited connectivity. So good morning to you all and welcome to our sixth workshop in the Ontario Federation of Agriculture's Cultivating Local series. OFA has been a long-standing supporter of our members who are eagerly diversifying into new products, new market channels, and finding innovative ways to get agricultural products to Ontarians looking for fresh local food, flowers, textiles, and so much more. Over 30 commodity and agriculture organizations are members of OFA, and we are grateful to have their support on this project, alongside many community and economic development organizations that have helped to bring this project to life. There are so many opportunities in the Ontario marketplace, whether you are a new farmer, the next generation of a farm family, an established farmer, a creative food or beverage entrepreneur, or you work closely with agri-food clients to make their business dreams a reality. We are thrilled you are joining us to learn more. With so many avenues to get agriculture and food products to Ontarians, we hope this workshop series will enable you to consider which opportunity best fits your business and products and learn some tips and tricks from the many innovative farmers, food and beverage businesses that have taken the leap to sell directly to consumer. Ontario's agriculture, food, and beverage sector is ripe for growth, already generating over $50 billion in GDP annually and employing over 870,000 Ontarians. We produce over 200 commodities here in the province, and we know that number will continue to grow as we discover new varieties, new markets, and new opportunities to cultivate local. OFA is thrilled to be running this workshop series alongside our partners, and we hope you learn a lot today. Please join us for the 3 more workshops to come. Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Krista Chapman. Krista is a consultant at Wilton Consulting Group. Wilton Consulting Group provides research and insights for the agri-food sector and rural communities. Her and the team at Wilton Group are leading the planning and delivery of the Cultivating Local workshops. Welcome, Krista.
Great. Thank you, Danielle. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this cold, snowy morning. I want to start things off we're going to use Slido today to interact with one another in the Q&A, as well as get to know everyone on the line just a little bit better. So to start things off, I want to learn where you're joining from today. And so you can join Slido either taking your cell phone and just taking a picture of the QR code there on your screen. Or my colleague Jessica has posted the hyperlink directly in the chat on Zoom. So you can join using your cell phone. I like to use my phone, or you can join using your browser. So whichever way works best for you. And then you can select where you're joining from today. So just what part of Ontario you are in, or maybe we have some guests from outside of the province today, which is also good. So let's see where everyone is joining from. And you can keep Slido open throughout the workshop. We're going to use it from start to finish. So you can keep that loaded. And again, the hyperlink will be in the chat here on Zoom. If you need to join using your browser, you can feel free to do so. Or maybe just keep that tab open on your phone. It's great. We have lots of folks from Southern Ontario, and then an even split from Northern and Eastern Ontario, which is cool. Some people in Central as well as Western. That's awesome. Oh, and a couple folks from outside of Ontario, so that's good. I know we have a handful of people here today, so maybe I'll give people just another couple seconds to join the Slido. Great. Thanks, everyone. Great to see some representation from across the province. Great. So next I want to learn a little bit more about where you are at in your journey with applying product labels or specific attributes to market your products directly to consumers. So tell us, if you're well established in that space and you're just here to learn a little bit more, maybe about a specific program. Maybe you're just kind of dipping your toes in, just starting your research. Maybe you've just recently started and you want to learn more about that. Or maybe you're just here to learn more, whether you're a farmer who's, considering this option, or maybe a service provider who wants to be able to share this information with farmers. So tell us a little bit more about you. So looks like we have a good amount of representation of folks who've been using these labels for a while. A few people who aren't established yet, just kind of starting their research. Some people in those early days, and then some people as well who are here to learn more, which is great. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And finally here, I want to learn a little bit more about some of the challenges maybe or the hurdles that you've encountered while using labels or product attributes, whether you already use them or it's something that you're exploring, what's something that maybe has been a bit of a snag for you. It doesn't matter whether you're new or you've been doing it for a long time. We'd love to learn a little bit more. So just in a couple words or less, you can throw your ideas out here in this forum. We're going to kind of use what we learned to help inform some of our conversations this morning. So feel free to share, a little bit about some of those challenges possibly. So we'll give people a second to enter their response. Cost, changing rules, and vague definitions. Yeah, that's a good point. Knowing what I have to put on my label, where the labels have to be placed, and what items need labels and which ones do not. Yeah, that's a great point. And I really hope we're going to cover that one this morning with some of the speakers we have lined up. Improper use of labeling, organic versus natural. Yeah, that's a great point. So making sure that you're using the label properly and not misrepresenting that claim. Home canning, fitting everything onto one sticker. Yeah, that's a good point. So some of those design elements that can be challenging. Keeps it original and unique. Mine is made by me. That's great. I have here to learn new tricks and trends. That's awesome. Finding product specific regulations for things like eggs, poultry and meat, honey, canning, etc. Yeah, there are those specific requirements for some of those products. So I think we'll touch on many of those this morning. So that's really great. Vague definitions and sizing on label. Yeah, that's a great point. So if the regulatory language is a little bit vague, how do we interpret that and implement it properly so that there aren't any challenges once you begin selling your product? So that's a really great point. And finding stickers that will actually stick to frozen packages. That's a good point. Kind of the mechanical elements of this as well, right? Making sure that our labels are amenable to the product that we're selling. So that's a really great point. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So as I mentioned, we're going to be using Slido throughout our discussions this morning. You'll notice in Slido, there's a Q&A tab kind of on the top left of your Slido screen. It's the same whether you're on your phone or your browser. To ask questions during the panel sessions, just click on that Q&A tab, enter your question there. The default is set to anonymous, so your questions will be anonymous. You can enter your name if you wish. Feel free to also monitor that Q&A as we get going this morning. You can like or upvote certain questions, and that'll help us prioritize which ones we get to today, just in case we start running out of time. But I'll do my absolute best to get to as many questions today as possible. So please keep that Slido tab open so we can tap into some of your questions for our speakers this morning. Excellent. So now that I've learned a little bit more about all of you this morning, I'm really pleased to welcome our first speaker for this morning. The first session here is on Labeling Compliance 101, so those key regulations and considerations. So please join me in welcoming Wen Sun. Wen has been a senior inspector with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, or CFIA, for 18 years, conducting food labeling inspections, food safety investigations, and food recalls. Before joining the CFIA, Wen worked as a microbiologist for a poultry vaccine manufacturer and exporter for 7 years. She graduated from the University of Guelph with a master's degree in food science. Welcome, Wen. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Krista.
Thank you for joining us today. So, maybe to kick things off, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role at CFIA?
Yeah, I think you have done a really great introduction about myself. That's about me. Yeah, I worked with the CFI about for 18 years. This year will be 19, and my majority of work is conducting food labeling, inspections, food safety investigations, and food recalls. So. My office is based in Guelph, Ontario. So Canadian Food Inspection Agency, that's where I'm working with. We have dedicated to safeguard food, animal, and plants, which enhance the health and the well-being of Canada's people, environment, and economy. So we have three basic lines: animal, food, plant. And CFI has regional office across the country. In Guelph office, we have teams across all three business lines. So if you are in food or beverage related business, most likely you will cross paths with CFI inspectors under food business line, like me.
Great. Thanks,
Yeah.
Wen.
And the CFI enforce 10X. That's the X. And for food business line, we generally work within two of them, which is a Food and Drug Act and the regulations. Also, Safe Food for Canadian Act and the regulations. So food and drug regulations applies to all food sold in Canada. And then Safe Food for Canadian Act and regulations mainly apply to food, which is imported, exported, and trade interprovincially, means like cross the provincial border. Some requirement may also apply for food sold intra-provincially. For us, it means in Ontario, such as traceability, labeling, and advertising and grading. Those requirements for Safe Food Canadian Act also they applicable for our manufacturer and producers in Ontario. Yeah, the next picture, next slide will show our border for food safety. Say food safety, we have food safety. We have each regional office have we cover the different regions. So here's the regions covered by food safety. And our food safety inspectors mainly conduct food safety related activities, responding to food complaints and food recalls. And also we have inspectors doing routine inspections and sampling at importers and manufacturers. So this slide shows the border, what we food safety worked with. Our neighboring food safety team are based out in Toronto, Hamilton, and London. Which one, if you cannot figure out which, like normally which one you need contact for any questions, really it depends on where do you live.
Yeah, thanks, Wen. That's
Yeah.
a great overview of your role and what you do at CFIA. So it sounds like there's lots of intricacies there. I'm going to pause my sharing here for a moment so I can get to some of our discussion questions here. I guess to start things off, can you tell us, when a farm business in Ontario with a food or beverage product would interact with CFIA and what that would look like?
For farm business only source product within Ontario, they are under the jurisdiction of public health. So the inspectors will conduct food safety related inspections on premises. Most of the time, we get to know them. It's from public health inspectors or consumers with concerns about the labeling. So that's how we get in touch with them. And for audience here today, you are already ahead of the game, as we do not want to wait something went wrong, but we are doing things proactively. Food businesses in Canada are welcome to reach out to the CFI for the food safety labeling and the license related questions or concerns. So I will have slides to show how to contact the CFI later.
Awesome. Thanks, Wen. Yeah, so it sounds like they need to get in touch with CFIA if they are selling only within Ontario. Is
Right.
that
Even
true? Yeah.
within Ontario, if they have questions, yeah, they are welcome to contact CFI. And we like you do that way. We don't want to wait, when things went wrong and then we go there, you have a lot printed law label. We don't want to see that.
Right. And so for any farmers here today who might be selling outside of Ontario, is that would be a different step? They would have to go through that Safe Food for Canadians license?
Yes, if they want to sell outside Ontario, then they need to apply for a Safe Food for Canadian license. And we have a website, we have very detailed information on how to apply. So if anyone needs that information, you can contact us later because we don't have the time to explain how to apply Safe Food for Canadian license, things like that. But normally we receive a lot of questions, and I have a template of email, or say what about how to apply, what you need, like a package, just basically just a click and then
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So welcome to contact us. Yeah, if you have any questions, so we don't want you say thinking no, don't know what to do, and finally you done something, and later on turned out you have to redo it.
Yeah. That's a great point. So maybe quickly, can you share CFIA's some of the basic labeling requirements, like those kind of blanket statements that have to be true for all labels?
Oh yes, for basic labeling requirement, it's just really basic labeling first. Any information or picture, any information on the label first must be true. Yeah, must be true. That's no question. And again, it's another one. It's not misleading. Say, I have again an example. Say what's true but misleading. For example, if you're selling apple cider, you say your product's gluten-free. That's true. It is gluten-free. However, that statement is considered misleading because all apple cider is gluten-free and yours is not special than everybody else. So if you put a statement there, which means like everybody else, apple cider is gluten-free, right? That's like you understand true and not misleading. Secondly, we asking the label must be easily read and clearly displayed. Say sometimes I see the label, it's so tiny. It's hard to see it, right? Even use magnifier, you still cannot see it. So you must be easy to read. So our definition about easy to read is based on lowercase letter O, like type height,
Right.
1.6 millimeter based on lowercase letter O. So you can measure if your label, if your font type height is less than that, that's considered not easy to read. Okay,
Okay.
the third thing is so those information you have good information is true and not misleading and easy to read. However, you put on the bottom of your package so nobody can see it. That's another requirement. They say it must be on a panel other than the bottom. But we have other information like a common name, like net weight. They have to put on the main panel. Like main panel is the panel the consumer when you see shopping for your products, the first you see the label is the front panel or front panel. We have a definition, but we just say commonly say front panel. We'll see the common name, net weight have to be there. But other information like a nutrition fact table or list of ingredients could be on the other panel, but not on the bottom. That's a basic labeling requirement.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Wen. And yeah, really interesting to think about, a claim can be true, but it may also be misleading. So you have to be careful about um, how you make those claims. I'm going to share my screen again because my next question for you maybe requires more of a visual experience. So what is the mandatory information that must be displayed on a food or beverage label?
Mandatory information is the information required on food label by regulation. Such as we mentioned about name and the net weight, list of ingredients, nutrition fact table. So on this slide, I put mandatory information in red and voluntary information in blue. So because our manufacturer sometimes, other than mandatory information, they want to put some option on the other information which is not mandatory. So from these slides, we will see first, the red one first, name of the food. So the food is cookies. So we need know the name. And secondly, we need to know the net weight, amount of food in the package. So these two things, as mentioned before, they must be on the main panel. And then on my right-hand side is nutrition fact table, and then list of ingredients showed what the food contains, and in the nutrition list of ingredients, that you must to say what allergens are present in the label, in the food, and then name and address of the company who made or import the product. And then if for any product with shelf life less than 90 days, and then you put how long the food will last, which is the best before date. That's all mandatory information. And then optional information, for example, you have brand name. Of course, that's not optional for you, but it's optional for us based on the regulation. And all pictures, you want to have a picture of the food, you have a claim about how good your product is. That's all mandatory, voluntary for us. But even though you put voluntary information, again, must be true and not misleading. We have regulations and we explain it in detail. Say, for example, if I want to claim my product gluten-free or sugar-free, then you have to meet certain requirements. So if you have those questions, actually, all these questions or information you want to know is in our CFI's industry labeling tools. And I will share the link later.
Yeah, thank you. And so, yeah, we will pull up that link in a moment here, and we'll also share that with everyone here today because that industry labeling tool is really helpful. So that's really great. So I want to get to, I think it's helpful for everyone to learn from, past past experience of yours and maybe some of the mistakes that you've seen kind of in the field. So, given your experience with those inspections, can you tell us maybe like two or three of the most common food labeling infractions that you've seen? So, what people should look out for, and what can farmers do to kind of avoid some of these issues so that they don't have to go and reprint any labels, for example.
Yes, over the years, I see so many different type of labeling violations. Say reprint label is not the worst. The worst thing is the food get recalled.
Mm.
So I really like to share with everyone so we can avoid, this serious consequences. The first thing, just my recent experience at the inspection and a farm-based business, Northern Ontario, they making pickles. So now pickles, you need using pickling spice.
Mm-hmm.
And in the pickling spice, they contain mustard. But for the business I was there, they said, oh, the first time I need to put mustard on my label. They only put pickling spice. And they never know about that. So the problem is that, we have primary allergens, the mustard, if it's not declared on the label, we will do our health risk assessment based on its amount of allergies in the food, if they cause health risk, and how the amount, based on the amount, then we will decide if this product being recalled or not. So the worst thing is they put a mustard, when they use the mustard for the pickle, they put the mustard in a bag. And then of course, when they when they make brine, they put the bag in. And after that, they will remove the brine. And in the canned pickles, a consumer cannot, mustard is not on the label. And sometimes, if the consumer have a mustard allergy, they see the mustard seed, of course, they will avoid. But they put the mustard in a bag, and after cooking, they throw it out. So you can't see anything. You don't see the mustard seed in the pickle. So this is even increased health risk, right?
Right.
So that's quite common. And we have inspection on some business, they used to get recalled for the reason I think there's no problem. But it's still some business there. They don't know mustard need to be declared on the label. And the mustard's in the pickling sauce. So that's a very common violation I see. Just even just I think last November, that just I see the one of them. Okay. Another common mistake I would like to say is lot code traceability. Lot code, so for large food businesses, they have no problem. They put lot code. But for family-based small business, maybe they don't think it's necessary. When I say you need to put a lot code there, say, no, I know when I made this product earlier, I have no like a first in, first out issue. I say, no, this is not only first in, first out. This is a serious consequences if something went wrong. And I can give you an example. A few years ago, we have a referral from Omefa, maple syrup producer. The lead it's contained with lead level is high, and this product, after health risk assessment, need to be recalled. When it's come to record, what to record? What's the lot code? No, they don't have a lot code. Every product is a no lot code. Then, if there's no lot code, all maple syrup need to be recalled. And the farmer said, "Oh, I know why it's for one batch, I have a higher lead content because it's rain and the seeds keep in the evaporator for so long. So that why that production for that few days have a high lead level, but others no problem. Say, then how do you prove? And say, oh, this pile in my storage, but what about others you have? Can you identify? No, they can't. So and it ends up all the maple syrup is recalled. And I think they told me it's maybe like 20, $30,000 worth.
Wow.
Right.
So if you don't have a lot code system, then you
Yeah,
risk, all of your products needing to be recalled, which is of
exactly.
course a lot more costly than.
Yeah, you can't like prove us which lot code is contaminated, which is not. And to be honest, I until right now, when I think about it, I feel sorry for them. The whole year's production is gone. Um, but they say later, I think I have a talk with the Omega inspector, and he said, I told them all the maple syrup producers have a lot of code. Everybody followed my instruction, but only this one is stubborn. It's stubborn, and he should learn a lesson. But
Yeah,
still, we don't want to learn that hard lesson. So lot code is important for traceability, and right now it's in the regulation. For traceability purpose, you need to have a lot code. In case first protect yourself. Secondly, the traceability you need the Safe Food for Canadian regulations require you a manufacturer you can trace one step forward and one step backward. So that's required. And yeah,
right.
like that's also protect you in case of a recall. You know which lot should be recalled, which lot is not affected. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And a very costly mistake. And like you said, something that you don't want to see and you don't want to have happen because that can be
Mhm.
pretty detrimental.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to share another common question from farmers and our food business owner, like family business owners say, "Oh, do I need French on my label?" And I heard that if I only sell my product in Ontario and English is enough. So So yeah, like in Canada, the requirement, the food label is the basic requirement also like bilingual because most of food must be bilingual. And then, but we have exceptions. The exemption about bilingual, one of the exemption I think really people here in Ontario thinking is oh my, because I only make food here, I'm selling, for example, I live in Guelph. Oh, I only sell in Guelph. I don't sell cross provincial borders. Yes, you don't sell. If you only make food in Guelph and sell in Guelph, it's okay. You don't need to be bilingual. And also other say local government union the exemptions say in Guelph you get made in Guelph, sold in Guelph, okay, exam, and also it can expand it to other government, local government unit immediately adjacent to Guelph. So
okay.
here it's okay, my immediate postage or Cambridge. Yeah, if you're selling your product in Guelph and any other government union immediately adjacent to Guelph, you don't need French. However, if you want to sell your product in Ontario or in Toronto, then you need the French.
Right. So
So
it's more your very close locale that you can sell in English only or French only for that matter. But once you expand, then you need to have the bilingual labels.
yes, that's right. So sometimes I have conversations like with uh, some business owners. So, okay, what about this location, next one, and which one is really my local government union, something? Then the things is I would like, but this is not in the regulation. But I would recommend it. do you only want to selling your product in your local government unit or anything adjacent to that? No, you want to expand your business. If so, then we need a bilingual label. So I would recommend if you want to expand your business, put in the bilingual in the beginning, right? And then you can, when you want to expand your business, that's you're already there.
Yeah, that's a great
Wow,
point.
I'm in a Zoom meeting and you just
Oh, sorry. I think we have, just make sure everyone's muted there. That's great. Thanks, Wen. So, yeah, three kind of really key things that you see often in the field. So, allergens being a key concern, making sure all of those allergens are clearly on the label, the lot codes to prevent any, catastrophic challenges when if there needs to be some kind of recall, and then, of course, the bilingual piece. So I want to follow up then and just ask you, like what resources are available for farmers to confirm that they're in compliance? There's a lot of kind of detailed requirements that we need to make sure that we're abiding by. So can you tell us a little bit more about some of the resources available to people?
Yes, no problem. And yes, actually, we have a lot of resources available to help food business to make a compliant label. And we have three different levels of resources. First is industry labeling tools. That labeling tools are very useful and they include a labeling requirement checklist. So if you need any, you want to know anything, any requirement about label, you have no problem to find there. And this is developed in 2014. It's based on the regular development in 2014, but of course it's updated according to the current regulation requirement.
Right.
It's written in plain English language, very easy to understand, and also we have a checklist. So after you have a label, you can follow the checklist to make sure your label is, just based on yourself to make sure your label is okay or is correct. And if you still have questions after you read that, you can contact Ask CFI online. This is an online service in written, but no phone calls. You have I think go to our website, you submit your question, and we have inspectors across the country. Their job is answering your questions, the inquiries. So I used to work there for a year. We are so busy. The questions come from like across the country, and it takes time. After you send your question in, you get immediate response. Say we receive your question, and how long we'll get back to you. And then by the time you will get the answer in written.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
That's very if you have questions, just do that. The third one, we used to do it a lot, but right now because resource restrict, we do it less. So you call your local CFI office. Yeah, that will be the phone number. It will be showed on the slides later. And we will answer your question
Thank you.
if we are available. Sometimes if we're so busy dealing with the records or high priority issues, your question might be delayed because that's not our primary task to do that. Ask CFI people, that's the job. So but you still can call our office, and even though you're not sure which office is your local CFI office, you call to the wrong office, it doesn't matter. We will ask where you live and refer to the right office.
That's great. And I do have some questions from the audience. So maybe I'll just go through these last couple of slides really quickly so we can get to the questions from the audience today. But just so everyone on the line knows, we will be sharing these after the workshop. They will be available. So Wen was talking about the food labeling tool. So that's just a screen grab there of that tool. It's very comprehensive and really easy to use. I was playing around with it this week. So great work on that to folks at CFIA. As Wen mentioned, the Ask CFIA piece there, you can use that as a way to get in touch. There are dedicated staff for that. It might take a little bit longer maybe than you'd like, but there are also the regional CFIA offices across Ontario to tap into as needed. So that's great. Thanks, Wen. I'm going to get to some of the audience questions. So first here, do you review farm product labels for farm businesses before they sell them, or is it up to the farmer to understand if they're in compliance with CFIA regulations?
We did do those reviews before 2015. But right now we don't do that because resource and the budget are restricted. Farmers or food manufacturers responsible to make your label in compliance. So if you're not sure in the first place, our labeling tool, or ask CFIA and call our local CFIA office if you have questions. And if you really need your label reviewed, get that reviewed, you need hire a consultant. Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
Right. So short answer is no.
Sorry.
So another question here. I was told that if an item is small in size or weight, then a label on the product is not needed. Is this true?
Small, not. I think we have some labeling exemptions, but not say if it's small or light. I don't know if that type of exemptions. I know for nutrition fact table, if the package is small, for manufactured food, it's a prepackaged food less than 100 centimeter square. So you don't have to put the nutrition fact table on the label. You can put one toll-free number or a postal address for consumer to find that. That's like for a nutrition fact table, but not say all label you don't need to put on the label. We have exemptions, of course, like a one bite cookie, one bite candy. That's except on one bite candy. So if you really want to find out if your product's exempt from labeling requirements, just contact us as those resources provided. We'll find out. See, everybody's label is different, everybody's situation is different. Yeah, if there's an exemption, we will figure out.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I have a question here about duck eggs. This might be another case maybe where you'd recommend people reach out directly, but information seems very hard to find. Do duck eggs need to be stamped, inspected? If not, should the carton be labeled with any specific information?
I think that's better to ask. I know a little bit about that because my work basically is for prepackaged manufactured food, and that egg is we have a program like egg inspectors for egg inspection. So those questions better to send to Ask CFI. They will provide you very detailed information, and that with links you can click and you find more information. Yeah, I understand for first time if you use our labeling tool, it's kind of confused. I don't know where to find the information. But in the labeling tools, there's one for product specific information, because the labeling tools, I think, have three sections. First section is about core information, also say mandatory information. The second section is about claims. if you want to make your products in low sugar, gluten-free, those explain those things. And the third section is called product specific information. So there's something specific, one chapter specific for X. You can read that, and probably I should stop here. Yeah, you can go through that, read by yourself. If you have questions, send your question to Ask CFI or call your local CFI office.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So if you're having a hard time finding information, check that product specific section. That might be where it lies. And one final question here. If anyone does have any other questions for Wen, we have about 4 minutes, so feel free to plop them in the Q&A. But here is one of the questions here. So does my label have different requirements if it's sold directly on the farm versus at a farmer's market or at a retail store? So are there different requirements depending on like where you're actually selling your product?
So first, it really depends on where you're going to sell your product. Say, if you making your product in Guelph and sold in Guelph only, no bilingual requirement. And the farmers market, it's also your local farmers market. For example, here St. Jacobs, you okay if the product sold by owner for whoever made this product. Nutrition fact table does need to be on the label. However, you must have that available. If consumer ask for that, you can provide. So that's really a different, and the store, say, depends on which store. You can sell your own store as the same store you made the product, bilingual exam. And if you're selling a store in Toronto, then full label. So I think we can, the question, I hope I answered some of your questions. This question is a little bit, I hope
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think so. And I think it goes back to your earlier comment as well about hopefully in your farm business, in developing a product, you don't always hope to just sell it within your immediate area. And so, why not make sure that you can be selling in other parts of Ontario as well so that you can grow your business. And again, always those helpful contacts at CFIA to get in touch with if there's anything that's particularly sticky with those labeling requirements for different locations. Yeah.
Yes, and I would ask, they say sometimes you have any specific question, just call our office, send a question to ask the CFI if you you're still not sure after you read the label too.
Right. Yeah. So reach out. You're friendly people. And so it's great to have you this morning. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge with everyone on the line today. And again, we appreciate your time. So thank you so much, Wen, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Awesome. And so great presentation and great dialogue, everyone. So thanks for entering your questions into Slido. Next, I'd like to welcome Dr. Erica Shelley to join us to talk about becoming certified organic. Erica is a researcher, educator, and beekeeper dedicated to improving soil health, pollinators, and human health from Kitchener, Ontario. She develops innovative solutions such as using fungi to manage pests in beehives and bee vectoring for sustainable agriculture. As the executive director with the Organic Council of Ontario, she's passionate about promoting organics to support resilient farms and ecosystems. Again, please feel free to leave your questions for Erica directly in Slido, and we'll try to get to those at the end. So welcome, Erica. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Krista.
Great to have you here. You should be able to share your screen there if you'd like to pull up your slides.
That's fine. All right, can you see that okay?
Just loading. There we go. Looks great. Thank you. Take it away, Erica.
Just 1 second here and get myself set up. All right. Okay, so everybody can see that okay?
Yes, looks great.
All right, perfect. All right, well, hello everyone. I'm very excited to be here today to talk about becoming certified organic in Ontario. And this process actually is the same whether you're in Ontario or across Canada. But because we are OCO, the Organic Council of Ontario, we do tend to have an Ontario slant. So to kind of get started here, so yeah, I'm Dr. Erica Shelley. I'm the new executive director of OCO. So OCO's been around for quite a while, and I came on as the executive director in November. And this is a really great place for me to be, where I can share information about organics and helping our organic partners in their pathway here. So this is just what we're going to be going through today. We're going to talk about the label, the organic label, the process. We'll touch on the Canadian organic standards, the different certifying bodies, as well as assessing compliance and getting certified. So we're going to start with, what does certified organic mean? So it's a process that ensures organic products meet the Canadian organic standards, or what we call COS. It's what keeps organic products consistent, credible, and trustworthy across the board. The legal part here is that if you're trading organic products across provincial or international borders, or using the Canadian organic logo, certification is not optional. It's required under Canada's organic product regulations. So the certification serves as a system to protect the integrity of organic products from the field to the table, and it sets a minimum benchmark. So it's like the absolute minimum benchmark for organic food production, ensuring that our consumers and our producers are working within the same standard. In Ontario and Canada, organic is certification is actually carried out by third-party certification bodies approved by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. So what you just heard from. And so we're not a certifying body. We're a not-for-profit that helps people to navigate the system and many other things in terms of policy and supports and education. But what this certification does with these third-party certification bodies is it ensures an impartial process and consistent application of the standards. Now, generally, achieving certification takes time, and it really depends on what you're doing with organics. But for most producers, it takes up to 3 years. And during this transition, the products can still be sold, so it's not that they can't be sold, but they can't be marketed as certified organic. If no prohibited substances have been used on the property in the last 3 years, you may be able to qualify for a shorter certification process, potentially completing it at as little as 15 months. If you're dealing with livestock, for example, I'm a beekeeper, those things can be a little bit different. So it really depends on the organic products that you are working with. It's a rigorous process, and it's really designed to build trust in the organic label and support of the integrity of organic products. So transitioning to organic certification might feel like a big step, and it is. You're making a commitment to higher standards, ecological improvements, as well as health improvements, and you're creating a um, a more resilient crop that's at part of the natural process. But if you're considering making the switch, there's a few key things you need to know before diving into the process. So the journey of certification does require careful planning, documentation, and commitment to meet the Canadian organic standards. So don't worry, we're here at OCO to break it down into manageable steps. And in the next few slides, I'm going to walk you through the 5 essential steps to get started with your organic certification journey. So if you're a seasoned farmer looking to make the leap, or you're brand new to organic production, these basics will give you a clear path forward. So let's take a closer look at the Canadian Organic Standards. You guys might recognize this label. In fact, this is actually one of the most trusted labels across the world, more so than those coming out of the US. And this is by Nielsen survey that they actually looked at where the trust is in these labels. So there's 2 main components of the Canadian Organic Standards. So there's the general principles and management standards and the accompanying permitted substances lists. So if your farming practices already align with the general concept of organic, it's a good idea to thoroughly review the standards before starting the certification process. And what that can do is it can help you avoid unexpected issues or non-compliances later on. One key requirement to be aware of is that long waiting period of up to 3 years. The Canadian Organic Standards mandate that land must be managed according to the organic standards for at least 36 months prior to harvesting the first certified organic crop. However, if you've already been fully compliant, as I mentioned in the earlier slide, with the standards and only using those permitted substance, you might have already fulfilled this waiting period. If you're unsure, your certifying body, or there's actually organic consultants that you can use to help you along with this journey, they can help clarify that situation and answer any of those questions you might have. Another important consideration is for those planning to transition some of their production to organic while continuing conventional practices for other crops. This does happen. People have hybrids. The standards do not allow for the simultaneous production of visually identical non-perennial crops as both organic and non-organic during the transition. So for example, you can't be growing organic corn next to non-organic corn, but you could be growing organic soybeans next to non-organic corn. And that's because if somebody comes in and they're inspecting your product, they won't be able to tell which one was organic and which one wasn't. So you can have both happening, but you can't be growing the same crop in parallel of organic and non-organic. If that's part of your plan, you may need to create a separate legal entity for organic production, and just make sure you maintain clear and separate records for that entity to stay compliant. Now, the next step is choosing the right certifying body in your organic certification journey. So the best fit of that certifying body, what we call a CB, will depend on several factors, including the scale, the diversity, and the type of production or processing you're involved in. To make this process easier, we've created a detailed comparison of the certifying bodies operating in Ontario. So you'll find that on our website. And that is actually going to be updated this year. Those sources are a little bit outdated, but that is going to be designed to help farms identify the best option for their specific needs. Additionally, Canadian Organic Growers, the COG website, provides a helpful list of questions, and you can check that out on their website to ask both yourself and your certifying body. So it's kind of like an interview process to find the right certifying body for what you're doing. You really want that certifying body to support you. These questions that they have on the Canadian Organic Growers website can guide you in evaluating whether a certifying body aligns with your goals and operational needs. If you're feeling uncertain, we recommend starting with a short list of certifying bodies that seem like a good match. Reach out to them to request quotes because there are different prices. Some certifying bodies have an inclusive price. Sometimes there's extra costs, so make sure you get that clarified as well. And then ask about the details of their certification process. Comparing those costs and those different requirements will help you make a more informed decision. Another key step is to assess your current and past level of compliance with the organic standards. So this will help you determine how much time remains before your first crop can be fully certified as organic. So the timing really depends on what substances you've been using on the land in the past 36 months. If you've not used any prohibited inputs during that time, you may already meet the requirements for certification. In such cases, you'll need to provide an affidavit to confirm your compliance. However, if non-permitted substances have been used, you'll need to complete the full 36-month transition period before your crops can be certified. And this assessment is an important step to set real expectations and timelines for your organic journey. So now that we've covered the basics, let's take a closer look at the certification process itself. So it may seem complex at first, but we've broken it down into clear steps to make it more manageable. From preparing your land and reviewing the Canadian organic standards to working with a certifying body, each step builds towards ensuring you meet those Canadian organic standards. In the next few slides, I'm going to walk through those 4 key steps involved in the certification process, and I'll give you like a roadmap to follow as you transition to certified organic production. So obviously the first part, which we've already discussed, is registering with a certifying body. And as I mentioned, we have a list of those available on our website. There's a couple of larger certifying bodies that you may have heard of, including ProCert, EcoCert, and OMRI. But there's also some smaller certifying bodies as well. And a lot of that are very province specific. So generally they require an application package, and people there are super helpful at walking you through that entire process. But in your application process, you're going to want an organic system plan that outlines how your operation complies with the Canadian organic standards. This package is reviewed prior to your inspection, and when you register, your certifying body will clarify the timeline for your transition period, that initial inspection and certification inspection. So you can actually register as soon as you begin your waiting period, but most operations don't need to submit their application more than 15 months before marketing their product as organic. So if today you decide you want to be organic, you still have over a year before you need to register with the certifying body. The next part is developing a production plan or organic system plan, and that's a key step in the certification process. It serves as a roadmap for organic production, and it's a requirement for that application with your certifying body. In your organic system plan, you've got to detail all of these production practices and the record keeping systems. This is not for people who are disorganized. It is very important that you keep all of this well detailed. So you're going to include some of these records, which is input documentation, your seed sources, a 5-year field history, harvest records, storage or inventory records, sales invoices, bills of landing, lot numbers, transportation records. There's a lot of information you need to have there. And while it seems like a lot to manage, it benefits you in many ways other than just reaching certification requirements. It helps for streamlining and ensures you're prepared for inspections and audits. So a thorough organic system plan isn't just a requirement, it's also a valuable tool for running a compliant, transparent, and efficient organic operation. So undergoing those initial certification inspections is a critical step in achieving organic certification. After the inspector comes out and they completes the report, it is sent to the certification body's head office for review. Following that review, you may need to take additional steps to meet the standards. For example, you might have to change suppliers to ensure that all inputs comply with the permitted substances list. That's a place where people sometimes don't do their research and they think something's permitted and it's not. So really, really pay attention. This year, we're actually doing a review of the Canadian organic standards that happens every 5 years. So if you're looking at old information, make sure you're looking at the newest information, and that will be updated at the end of 2025 here. These adjustments are necessary to become fully compliant with the Canadian organic standards. For farmers and processors who want to streamline the process, especially with complex organic systems, unclear interpretations of the standards or compliance questions, hiring an organic, if it's all confusing to you, an organic consultant can actually be extremely beneficial. Consultants are usually typically former or current organic inspectors who have deep expertise in the standards and can guide you through the certification process. But there's an important rule you have to keep in mind when you're looking at these consultants. If the consultant has inspected your operation in the past year as an inspector, they can't act as your consultant. So as I mentioned, we do have a list of consultants on our website. Why that certification process may seem complex, it ensures that your organic products meet standards recognized worldwide. So we've actually established in Canada equivalency arrangements with several countries, including the European Union, Japan, the United States, Switzerland, Taiwan, the United Kingdom, and even Costa Rica. So this global recognition opens up diverse export opportunities for Canadian organic producers. As of 2024, Canada's organic market is valued at 9 billion Canadian, and it's grown 11% since 2020. And that actually positions Canada as the fifth largest organic market globally, which is really impressive if you consider the size or population base of Canada. So by achieving organic certification, you're not only meeting domestic standards, but also aligning with those international requirements and enhancing the marketability and credibility of your products on a global scale. So at OCO, we've developed a range of additional resources, which just you're kind of small here that you can see to help you better understand the navigation certification under the Canadian organic standards. And these resources are designed to provide practical guidance and detailed insight to support you through this certification journey. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your approach, these tools can help clarify the requirements and the steps involved. So I'm happy to share these resources with everyone following the presentation today, and I'll make sure that it gets in a place where you guys are able to access it. Next week, this is big for us, a very, very busy week. We are bringing the organic community together at the 44th, that's 44 years of the Guelph Organic Conference. So for 44 years, this event has been uniting individuals from across the organic sector, farmers, processors, researchers, advocates, people who love to eat organic food. And this year, we're excited to offer a diverse lineup of sessions, including workshops, intensive sessions, hands-on workshops, and our always free to attend organic trade show with over 100 different vendors. So it's a unique opportunity to come out and learn practices, and we're really hoping you can join us. If you're interested in getting tickets, I am definitely pushing this today. You can go on to our Guelph Organic Conf.ca website and you can get your tickets there. If you're a farmer, BIPOC, or you fall in student categories, you can actually get an extra percentage off the tickets. And we have all sorts of tickets available, from half days to full days to everything. It includes all the food and receptions and movie screenings. So we really hope that you're able to join us. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope this presentation gave you some useful insights into the certification process and help make the Canadian organic standards feel a little bit less overwhelming. So at the Organic Council of Ontario, we are here to support you every step of the way on your journey, whether you're just getting started, looking to grow your practice, or needing help to navigate the standards. We're here as your partner. We want to make sure you have the right tools, resources, connections like consultants, certifying bodies, and those helpful guides to make the process as smooth as possible. Together, we're building a strong and vibrant organic community that values all of these important things that organics bring to the table, and we hope you can reach out to us. If you like what we do, I encourage you to explore our membership options. So those membership options are from everybody who's advocating for organics. Maybe you're not a farmer, to the largest businesses in organics. So it is your membership that helps us continue serving the community and providing you with valuable benefits and being that neutral partner to guide you in that way. So I also want to thank our hosts, Wilton Consulting Group and the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, for inviting me to share this info with you. Your dedication to supporting organics is truly inspiring. So thanks again, and I can't wait to keep working together to grow the organic sector.
That's great. Thank you so much, Erica. I think you brought a lot of clarity to this whole process for folks on the line. So that was really great. Good presentation. Thank you. We're running a bit short on time, but there is one question. So there's one question on Slido here that's a bit specific to farm equipment and how that interacts with crops. So I think what I might do is I'll send that to you after this call, and then we will follow up with all of the participants. Will include the answer to that question in our follow-up email, just to give you some time to maybe bounce that question off of colleagues or think through that one a little bit more. But there is one other question in the chat here, just really quickly. Can a producer use the term organic on their product labels if they are not certified organic?
So they are not able to use the word organic if they are selling across countries or provincial borders. There are some provinces where you're also not allowed to put organic on unless you have either the Canadian logo or the provincial logo. So we see that in Quebec. In Ontario, we do not have that, what we call a checkoff program, to make sure that anybody who's labeling organic and selling in Ontario, that their organic is actually regulated. And
Okay.
that is an issue. And so if you really truly want organic products, make sure you look for that label, especially if you're buying organic goods in your same province, there's no one checking up and
Okay.
fining people if they're putting organic on the label when it is not actually adhering to the Canadian organic standards, or they haven't been certified. They might even be adhering to them, but they haven't gone through that certification
Right.
process, which is really our way of making sure people are being honest.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's great. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Erica. And as you mentioned, we'll include your contact information in our follow-up if people have any questions.
Yeah, I'll give you a link to those resources as well that were shared on the
Thank you.
page as well. Thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thanks. Great. And next, I'm going to hand things over to Danielle to facilitate our next panel session, Farm to Label, Navigating Labeling Programs for Ontario Farmers. Over to you, Danielle.
Thanks, Krista. So I would like to introduce our panel session of the day, Farm to Label. Please welcome Chelsea Martin, David Beeking, and Luc Chabot to talk about navigating label programs for Ontario farmers. So first off, we have Chelsea. She's the program manager and auditor for the Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Quality Assurance Program at the Ontario Cattle Feeders Association, with a background in agriculture and over 5 years of experience auditing farms for the OCFB QA program and the Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. Chelsea helps farmers demonstrate their commitment to producing high-quality products. Next, we have David. He is the CEO of Beeking's Poultry Farm, a third generation farmer. Combining his public health background with agriculture, David oversees the production of free-run and free-range organic eggs on their Eastern Ontario farm. The farm operates as a CFIA-inspected grading station and distributes eggs across Ontario and Quebec to stores and restaurants. Next, we have Luc. He's the Director of Business Stakeholder Relations at Dairy Farmers of Canada, leading the strategic planning, development, and enhancement of the Blue Cow logo marketing campaigns and programs. With over 30 years in the dairy industry, including leadership roles at Saputo and Arla Foods Canada, Luc specializes in strategic business development, brand awareness, product innovation, and more. Please leave questions for your panelists directly in the Slido Q&A, and we'll try to answer them at the end of the panel. So welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're really looking forward to this session. So first off, we will ask Chelsea if you could please tell us a little bit about yourself and the Corn-Fed Beef Program, as well as the Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef's production standard.
Thank you guys so much for having me here today. So yes, my name is Chelsea Martin. I am the program manager and one of the auditors with the Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Program. I work with the Ontario Cattle Feeders Association, where I'm dedicated to supporting farmers and showcasing their exceptional quality and locally raised beef. We're also in the process of trying to encourage producers to tell more of their story and strategic outreach, so they can better educate consumers and everyone else looking to purchase high quality, locally raised beef. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what it takes to become certified with the Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Program, as well as CRSB. So adding value through quality assurance is really important here in Ontario. Utilizing best practices results in sound business management decisions. And if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So some things that will support the quality assurance is obviously benchmarks on your farm. And it also qualifies your operation for industry programs and credits such as the CRSB program and other incentives like the FCC initiative going on right now. It also validates claims on farm, and it demonstrates to customers, regulatory agencies, and financial institutions that you do have processes in place on farm. So quality assurance is not mandatory in Canada for the beef sector, but there are two industry-driven quality assurance programs. Those two programs are the Verified Beef Production Plus program, as well as the Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Quality Assurance program. So if any producers on here are looking for more information on that, please just send me an email at the end of this webinar and I can kind of direct you to what program best suits your operation.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chelsea. And David, if you could share a bit about your farm's journey and the labeling programs that you've leveraged.
Yeah, hi, my name is David Beeking. I'm a third generation egg farmer in Eastern Ontario, and I am on rural internet, so I'm just gonna pause my video so you guys can hear me more clearly. Um, so we have a, free run farm, and we are part of the Start Clean, Stay Clean program with Egg Farmers of Ontario. So we get regular inspections on our poultry barns. And as well, we started a certified organic farm in 2018. So we have a barn on a separate property that is certified organic. So we've been through the process of that. In addition to our farming side, we have an egg grading station that is inspected by CFIA, and then we distribute all of our products direct from our farm to stores and restaurants across provinces. So the CFIA certification helps as well. And we've been through the labeling of, as mentioned before, the bilingual labeling on our carton. If you want to jump to the next slide. So this was the certified organic barn that we built in 2018. And you can see on the side of our truck, we do some branding that sort of matches what we have on our labels. So the individual from CFI, she mentioned earlier that what you put on your vehicle or your labels, it needs to be true. So we've put that our barns are solar powered. So we just have it on our organic labels, but that barn is completely solar powered. So when we make a claim, we have to make sure that we can back up that claim. And then if we jump to the next slide as well. So this is some of our cartons, and you can see actually the one on the right, the organic carton that you see there, there is actually an error on it, and it seems very minute, but the EcoCert logo, we're certified organic through EcoCert Canada, actually has to be in black lettering. And this was a first iteration of our carton that we printed, and we had to send to EcoCert for approval, and the black lettering was incorrect. So we had to reprint and go back, but we work with our EcoCert inspectors and the staff there to make sure that every aspect of our carton is correct before we send it to stores. So we work with CFIA on approving our cartons and our labeling, the SKUs, the address, and the traceability as well. So we use our expiry date on the side of the carton. as our lots for specific days, so we can track that specific egg went back to a very specific day of production, and that's how we isolate our product going back. So that's a bit about our farm and our packaging.
Thanks, David. That's nice. You can tie it together with Wen's presentation and how, there are some challenges you might not know about until afterwards and having to kind of tweak your label as you go. So that's a great example. Thank you. And Luke, now can you please tell us a bit about yourself and the Blue Cow logo program?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Luc, and I'm Senior Director, Business Stakeholder Relations at Dairy Farmers of Canada, or DFC, to make it simple. As Danielle mentioned earlier, I've been working at the processor level at various sales in various sales roles for the past 30 years. My present work involves working with processors, retailers, food service operators, as well as any other stakeholders. The Blue Cow logo is part of my department, and I would describe our department as the babysitter of the Blue Cow. So I'm presently based from our Montreal offices for the past 2 years, but previously home was the GTA for the past 20 years. And to paraphrase what Krista mentioned earlier, to me, the weather always included mentions of north of Highway 7. So happy to be back. Officially, DFC is the national policy, lobbying, and promotional organization representing Canadian dairy producers, over 9,000 farms across Canada. Our Blue Cow logo began its life as the Canadian Quality Milk logo. We're now beyond the recognition of Canadian and quality for which the logo stands for. The Blue Cow logo has evolved to mean much more. It combines our commitment to net zero, dedication to animal care, to food safety, to nutrition, to all the hard work that farmers do to feed us day in, day out, with our high quality standards. All this in one little Blue Cow. The Blue Cow is a quick and easy reference point that represents a comprehensive quality assurance program called ProAction that every farm in Canada must adhere to. For consumers, it's a symbol of trust and one of the easiest way to be sure that the dairy they consume and they purchase at store is made from 100% Canadian milk. Our certification logo is supported year-round with impactful 360 degrees campaign that reinforce the positive association to the brand and to dairy products, a license to consume. Next slide, please. Today, the Blue Cow logo is featured on almost 9,000 products and 550 brands, and it's still growing. Household staple, it's also shown in restaurants, food trucks, many places outside the home too. 9 out of 10 Canadians know this logo. This is a brand awareness level that is on par with Canadian Tire, President's Choice, or Nike. When consumers see the Blue Cow, it has a positive impact on purchase intentions because consumers trust our high standards. And most interesting is usage of the logo is free. Now, back to you.
Thanks so much, Luke. I was actually going to say, many of us will be familiar with the Blue Cow, and then you said 9 out of 10. So I'd say most of us on the call here would be very familiar with the tasty dairy products. So now we'll kind of launch into the panel session here. So I think maybe we'll start with Chelsea for this one, and you can each take a turn as you'd like. So can you please share how the labeling programs you mentioned have helped to differentiate farm products and why these programs might be beneficial for farmers that are selling directly to consumers? Oh, you're just on mute, Chelsea.
I did just want to touch on that. The Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Quality Assurance Program is not a labeling program. We simply manage the quality assurance that can get you the possibility of putting that label on your product. So while Canada beef sector does not have a mandatory quality assurance program, farmers have the option to participate in these programs like the Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Quality Assurance Program or the Verified Beef Production Plus program to elevate their practices and meet consumer demand. For verification, transparency, quality, and sustainability. By enrolling in these voluntary programs, farmers not only enhance their operation, but they also gain valuable opportunities to tell their story and validate their claims with third-party verification. These programs allow cattle farmers to access industry programs such as the Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, that's implemented by the Cargill plant here in London. Or sorry, my apologies, Guelph.
I was gonna say I'm in Guelph. I'm pretty sure it's Thanks, Chelsea. Who would like to go next?
Yeah, I can talk a bit about on the egg side, we have the Egg Quality Assurance or EQA label. If you go to eggquality.ca, it's a standard that all egg farmers who are registered with Egg Farms of Ontario or Egg Farms of Canada have to go through annual inspections. So the inspectors come in, they ensure that animal welfare is at the highest level, that the eggs are being produced in a clean and safe environment for the birds. So that equates to a label that consumers can trust and that we put on our boxes and cartons. And then also on the organic side, we work with our EcoCert inspectors. They come out every year, and that label gives the assurance that the farm that we have is meeting that elevated certified organic standard. Because I think the word organic can be used openly sometimes, but having that logo from EcoCert and the Canadian Organic that we saw earlier just gives that extra reassurance that we have third parties coming in and regularly checking on the quality of our farm and product.
David and Luke.
Yes, I'll I'll start by the end. An image is worth a thousand words. So for the Blue Cow logo, DFC goes through a rigorous and continuous brand and campaign monitoring, which is measured independently by a third party, IMI Research. Some of our key findings show that the Blue Cow logo represents a trustworthy brand and stands for product of high quality. And for 80% of Canadians, trust is a fundamental driver of purchase and a brand that aligns that with their value. 75% of consumers have a greater sense of trust in the product they choose when they see the Blue Cow logo on them. And many Canadian families prefer to purchase and consume dairy that feature the Blue Cow logo. So the logo has a positive impact on purchase. 3 out of 4 Canadians agree that the logo encourages purchase, going up to 81% when looking specifically at the bracket of 18 to 54 years old. In their own words, Canadian consumers say the Blue Cow logo represent quality, fresh, Canadian, local made, high standard, and is trusted by Canadians.
Great. Thank you so much, Luke. And we'll go back to David first. So, in your experience, what are some common changes or updates farmers might need to make in their certification process for these labeling programs?
Yeah, so one great example is that the EQA logo is actually fairly new, well, probably about 4 or 5 years old. So we were using different labeling, and they introduced this when they updated the inspection policies at our farm. So with any new logo or new label, there's a lot of marketing that has to go in behind it, and Egg Farmers of Canada really stepped that up. So you might have seen billboards over the past few years with that big EQA. It's the egg with the check mark on it. And so that kind of helps us as farmers get the word out that, okay, this isn't just a random logo we put on. There is a lot behind it, and there's that trust that consumers can have with our product.
And Luke, we'll go back to you.
Yes. On our side, since we're a certification logo with a very strong sales aspect, most of the technicalities are handled by Ron, and that was mentioned earlier from CFIA. In our program, the only changes I can identify is if the formulation of the product changes for several potential reasons, either taste, texture, or ingredient availability. Just because the logo is for product that carries 100% Canadian dairy or dairy ingredients. So to us, the certification is quite simple, not as integral as some of the other categories that were mentioned.
Thank you, Luke. And Chelsea.
So anyone that's worked in the beef sector or has cattle would know that the code of practice is kind of your Bible with the cattle industry, and it's a cornerstone for responsibilities and sustainable farming and ensuring that overall animal welfare is being handled, food safety and environmental stewardship are prioritized on farm. By enrolling in a quality assurance program, farmers not only comply with the industry standards, but they also gain access to updated practices, protocols, grants, and that allow them to adapt to ongoing changes within the sector. So we, as an auditing body and certifying body, we would keep our producers updated with regulatory changes, any market changes, trends kind of going on. And I mean, changes are a vital part of the agriculture industry. We're staying current with regulations is important, and then updating your on-farm practices is critical for long-term success. And adapting these changes ensures that your farm continues to operate in an official manner, remains competitive, and meets consumer expectations.
And so, in order to maintain their certification, do farmers participating in these labeling programs need to complete updates, reviews, audits? And if so, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes, for sure. So each program is a little bit different. Myself, I audit for the Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Quality Assurance Program and the CRSB program, as we are a certifying body. So between those two programs, we also have that Verified Beef Production Plus. All the standards are pretty similar within each of those audits. Obviously, they have their own specific requirements. And then each year, there is a 5-year on-farm cycle that's put in place. They also have to go through additional audit requirements such as self-declarations, records assessments, and then we have the rights to random audits at any time just to ensure that producers are keeping up to date and doing what they should be. So keeping up to date with the quality assurance programs also allows you to participate in farm grants, incentives to further their contribution on farm.
Thanks. Who would like to go next?
So for the blue collar, in order to maintain the certification, updates are required when you have a formulation or a change of packaging. The license is the license that to use the blue collar. There's a lot of echo. Is it me? I'll try again. Good. Sorry. The license is a legal document based on the declaration of the product ingredient list as validated by the lab you selected. Audits only happen when there's a concern the formulation or the information submitted for approval has changed. The visual of the packaging it also need to be submitted for approval, but this response normally takes only a few working days. So again, it's when there's a reformulation of a product or a change of packaging. So it is compared to the to some other certification that are more into the technical side. This is an easy process to undertake for the blue cow logo.
Okay, great. Thank you, Luke. And David, on the egg side.
Yeah, so for each of the programs that we're involved in, we do have annual or even inspections every few months. So we're really good friends with our inspectors. I actually have my certified organic inspection next week. So usually you work with the inspectors to book it in ahead of time. Farmers can be very busy, so a lot of inspectors they have that courtesy to make it work for everybody. But they do also sometimes do random audits. They drop by sometimes. And then if we are updating our logo on our packaging, if we're doing a rebrand, if we are changing anything, we have to submit that to the various certifying bodies. So CFIA to review changes to our carton, or EcoCert. The challenge we have is as a small farm, when there's a new logo or a new change, the cost to update all of our packaging can be quite expensive. We work with Imperial Dade to print all our cartons, and you have to get new stamps, and there can be quite a bit of cost to changes. So we try and work with the certifying bodies that we get through the inventory of our previous cartons and update them as we work with them.
Okay, great. And I'm going to go off script here because I did have a question for you, David, about you said you're free range, free run, and organic. What went into the decisions to try all three of those different avenues? And often I think we envision that if a farm is organic, then the entire farm would be, just because of the effort to go in to get certified. So I'm a little curious about, the business decisions for those different labels, attributes, if you will, and the different markets that you might be serving there.
Yeah, so our farm went, whether you want to say cage-free or free run, back in 2005. We made the venture into that. Back then, we were one of a few farms doing it. So we moved to that because of the shifting market demand. Um, we are within a niche by doing free run, free range, and certified organic, but it's a very fast growing market. And when we got into free run after a few years, people started asking, well, do you have certified organic, or do you have an organic product? So around 2014, we started researching the differences with free run, free range, certified organic. Um, and we made the decision to start down that road. But that was a 3-year process of designing the barn that would fit with the organic standards, sourcing the equipment, going through the certification process. It is quite a lengthy process. So engaging with the certifying bodies early is very important. But the benefit of us distributing direct to customers is that we get the feedback right away. So customers asking for certified organic or asking for different components. It's nice to have that feedback loop, whether you do farmers markets or um, going to grocery stores or restaurants. That's really where we figure out the direction that we want to take our business.
Great, thank you. And guess we'll go back to Luke here. What's one suggestion you would share for farmers who may be considering participation on your labeling program?
Like was mentioned earlier by Wenron, nowadays labels carry a lot of information and requirement, so we understand the struggle certification can create when designing labels. Keeping it simple is what we always recommend to people. There's sometimes a will to put the romance on the label, so it makes it tough with all the requirements that are to be there. Like I had mentioned in the previous note, an image is worth 1,000 words, and the aim of the Blue Cow logo is really to carry all those values to consumers, pretty much giving them the social license to consume. So the presence of the logo on our side is meant by that, supported by the promotion, the marketing campaign. And we also do receive a fair share of requests for on-premise marketing point of sale displays because packaging can only carry so much. So we see that often offsetted by on-premise marketing material. So don't limit yourself if you want to leverage some of these logos. We're always very open on our side with the application of the logo. Like I mentioned, it's free, and we're always supporting the industry.
And was there a plan to always have on-premise signage, or was that kind of a demand that was asked of by farmers?
It was asked because again, sometimes it's tough to integrate everything in a label. So if it is sold on premise or to outlets that you have direct link with, it's sometimes easier and more flexible to add that POS portion than to imprint it in your packaging and have it for a long run. So it was meant for flexibility. That's why I was mentioning that, not to limit yourself. And it's tough to please everyone, and we are understanding of that constraint.
Perfect. Thanks, Luke. And Chelsea, yeah, same question. A suggestion that you'd share with farmers looking at participating in your program.
Yeah, so it's important just to clarify the difference between labeling programs and once again the quality assurance certification. So certification through programs like the Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Program or Verified Beef Production Plus, it's actually certifying the individual farm practices, not the beef product. These programs focus on ensuring that the farm meets specific standards related to animal health, welfare, nutrition, environmental stewardship, obviously sustainability, and then other key criteria. However, to have the beef carry that associated certification label, it needs to meet additional processing and grading requirements at the processing plant. The quality assurance program and VBP Plus program are specifically designed to help farmers validate their claims by providing third-party verification during the or going through on-farm practices and day-to-day responsibilities. While farmers may already adhere to high standards of animal welfare, nutrition, and overall farm management, without external third-party verification, those claims are just claims. So when you get that third-party verification, you're actually getting that verification that you are implementing these things on farm and following through with regulatory factors. So you have consumers and other industry partners have that trust in your product at the end of the day.
Great. And is there a cost for either of those programs?
At this point, the Ontario Corn-Fed Beef Program covers all costs. Beef Farmers of Ontario and Cattle Feeders Association are currently offering an incentive program. So if you're looking to get onto the Verified Beef Production Plus program at this time, your first audit is 100% given back to you. And then if you're going through and renewing your audit with the VBP Plus program, you get a 75% rebate going forward. So we're really trying to encourage more cow-calf producers to get onto the program at this time. We do have a pretty big shortage. Obviously, in Ontario, we don't produce a lot of cow-calf, but yeah, more for the Western guys. We're really trying to encourage those producers to get onto the program and streamline some traceability with that CRSB program that's being offered. And there's tons of incentives that FCC and Cargill are offering right now for any producers looking to get on that CRSB program.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Chelsea. And David, I know you have a couple of programs on the farm, so maybe if you wanted to walk us through some of those and, how has your farm incorporated budgeting for those into your farm business?
Yeah, we we connected with the certifying body before we started organic. We wanted to get an idea of what the costs would be, just so that we could plan it with our lenders. So they do calculations on your annual fee based on how many birds you're placing. So with EcoCert, that's how we pay the fees. One suggestion that I would give to someone considering a new program like Certified Organic or starting an egg production facility, reach out to somebody who's already in the program. When I was planning out our certified organic barn, I reached out to my feed supplier and I got connected to two other farms that were certified organic layer farms for 10, 15 years. So I went down there and toured their operation and I learned a lot. And I could probably share 10 or 20 mistakes that I've made over the past 5 years. And from anything from design of the building to how we ship our eggs between facilities and um, even the production plan within our grading station, how we prevent crossover of certified organic eggs and free run eggs. So we have a very clear production plan on how we bring in the eggs, the product and the chemicals that we use for washing the eggs, and also how we package and keep them separate. So that's part of our inspection audits. But those are things that we've learned along the way and we've gotten from other farmers before us.
And does your grading station grade other farmers' eggs as well?
Yes, we do. So we've started to, about 5 years ago, as a grading station, we can grade other farms and package them. And so we've brought on two farms so far. They're free range operations. So it added a new component. It's not certified organic, but it's not our free run barn. So again, we had to be very clear on the labeling. We had to get information from that farm on their inspections, what's in their feed, what sort of pasture size they have, just so that it matches what we're marketing and what we're putting on the label. But yeah, if there's any egg farmers on the call, we're happy to work with them as well. We always have an egg shortage, so um, we do connect with farmers as a grading station to work with them on getting their product to customers.
And Dave, I should have asked you this earlier for clarity for our audience of the difference between free run and free range.
Yeah, there's probably 100 different words in the egg industry, and it gets confusing. Um, Free run is no cages. They have the whole barn to roam around. So sometimes it's an open floor, or sometimes it's a tiered, they call it an aviary system. I just say it's a jungle gym for chickens, essentially. And then free range is the same cage-free system, but they have outdoor access when weather permits. So there's a certain amount of space that they need per bird outside and inside. And then certified organic is that next level above that. So you're going through a certification body that's a third party. The feed is certified organic, non-GMO. There's more space per bird. I believe it's 1.8 square feet per bird. So there's all these specific requirements that the certified organic level has. So those are the big differences, and it can be very confusing when you see a shelf of 20 different egg products and you have no clue what half the words mean. So that's why we try and keep our carton not too cluttered. We could put more marketing terms on there, but we've chosen a few important ones and left some off that we put on our website so that it's not too crowded.
That's a good point that you can also leverage your point of sale materials, your vehicles, your website. There are other places to not clutter up your product with too many terms. So that's a great point. We're just in the last minute here, Luke. I think you have covered, that it was a free program. I don't know if you wanted to speak to the applying process at all, or if there's anything you feel like you hadn't fully covered on the Blue Cow program for people curious.
In a nutshell, beginning to end, how long does it take to apply? It's a few weeks, depending on the stage of your project. You need to become a licensee. Then the product you submit is reviewed to verify if it matches the criteria, which are having 100% Canadian dairy and dairy ingredients. And once you work on your packaging, when you're advanced enough, the logo needs to follow certain criteria. So you submit the packaging for approval, and this is to maintain a consistent brand value. So one question that came also in the previous panel is, do you need to have federal certification? No, not for the Blue Cow logo. The aim of the Blue Cow logo is 100% Canadian. And as far as I know, Ontario is in Canada. So it was not a question of federal versus provincial certification.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. And Chelsea, I don't know if you wanted to have any last things you wanted to mention about your programs?
I know I think I really covered everything. If anyone's interested, they can obviously reach out to me and I can point you in the right direction, whether you're a feedlot producer, a cow-calf producer, or just looking for more information on the programs. You can check out our website or shoot me an email and I can point you in the right direction. And once again, there's lots of incentives being held right now for these programs. And for anyone that doesn't know, there is some incentives directly linked to the Ontario corn-fed beef program per head. So, yeah, any questions, shoot them my way and I'd be happy to help.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I just wanted to thank the three of you all so much for joining us today. It was great to learn more about the programs that you have and that you're participating in. And I think it was very valuable to everyone on the call today. So thank you so much. And now I would like to take some time to share some resources and programs that might be of interest to you. Jessica will be sharing links to those resources and programs in the chat as we go, and these links will also be shared with everyone following the workshop. I also just wanted to ask if you could please complete the short 2-minute post-workshop survey so we can use that to learn and inform about our other upcoming workshops in the series. Jessica's also pasted that link into the survey in the chat, and we can share it with you via email after today's session. So with that, we'll launch into some resources here. So we encourage you all to check out your local Community Futures Development Corporation. There's lots of great funding programs and resources available for particularly rural businesses. There's small business enterprise centers across the province that are happy to help you with things like business plans and resources. You can also reach out to your local economic development office. They often have ties to those organizations as well. Many other programs at the municipal level or could connect you with others. There's the commodity and agriculture and agri-food organizations, as some of you have seen today. And if you're looking more on the food and beverage side, Food and Beverage Ontario is available to you, as well as the Canadian Food Innovation Network. For those of you looking for more information about the Canadian Food Innovation Network, they do have a program called Yodel, and you can use that to identify answers to your questions, such as, does anyone know of a co-packer that could package very small weight sea salt sachets? So you can kind of meet with this community and be able to share information and resources together and learn from the agriculture and local food products community. Related to our presentations today, CFIA has the Food Labeling for Industry website page. There's also an NSF presentation on Canadian food labeling regulations. If you're looking for regulatory requirements for products in Ontario, you can check out Ontario government's webpage, and the OREG 11911 will have more specifics around produce, honey, and maple products. If you're looking for printed retail display signed tip cards and laminated display cards, you can reach out to OMAFA at fpo.omafra@ontario.ca. There's also many financial opportunities for your farm business, so you can look into Farm Credit Canada for food and beverage financing if you're a meat processor, bakery, food and beverage equipment operator, packaging, wineries, distilleries, specialty foods, more. And they also have things like their Women Entrepreneur Loan Program, their Young Entrepreneur Loan Program, and other FCC financing resources and tools. If you're looking to launch a new beverage product, Niagara College's HACCP certified beverage pilot plant can help. They have many tools and resources available to you within their facilities. They can help ensure market readiness with a focus on food safety, quality, and scalable development. So check that out in the chat. There's many links going on. Thank you, Jess, for keeping us updated there. And also, there was just recently announced that the Youth Employment and Skills Program intake has opened for this year. So it will be opening, sorry, on January 27th. So if you hire or you're looking to hire youth in your for your farm business, you could get up to 50% of their salaries and benefits covered. Eligible applicants include producers, agribusinesses, industry associations, provincial and territorial governments, Indigenous organizations, and research facilities. So if you haven't heard of this before, it's a great program to get some of those wages covered. And we would encourage you to check out the federal government's website on that. The winter intake is also now open for the Fair Finance Fund, which also includes mentorship and business assistance. So that is open until February 10th. So if you're looking for loans from $20,000 to $200,000 at a fixed interest rate, you can learn more about their program on their website. And as for some next steps, we just wanted to thank you all again for joining us today. We appreciate the support of the commodity and partner organizations that have partnered with us on this workshop series and made these projects possible. We also have 3 more workshops still to come. We've completed 6 now to date. So we encourage you to join us in 2 weeks for our agritourism opportunities workshop on January 30th, our rural and remote Ontario workshop on February 13th, and looking at beyond food, so textiles, ornamental horticulture, and more. So lots more content and great speakers to come, and you can find all of that information and registration by following the QR code there or visiting our website. And we've also recorded all of the webinars to date, and we'll continue to do so, including this one will be live either tomorrow or Monday. So we encourage you to check out the recordings if you're looking for more information on selling local. And with that, I'd just like to encourage you to join us for one of our upcoming workshops. Thank our partners and OFA members for supporting these workshops. And thanks again to all of our speakers and panelists today for making it such an interesting and informative session. And we hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much.